So the next stage we move up into is what they call the military payment certificate. Let's just start with this typical specimen here, military payment certificate. And it says here, for use only in United States military establishments by United States authorized personnel in accordance with applicable rules and regulations. On the other side, it would say, again, same thing, it's military payment certificate for use only in United States and so forth. You see the nice presidential seal there, and they wanted to make it look real American. Well, how did that work? You notice I've set out a few of these, one set of these AENs from the Allied military currency, which was what immediately preceded the use of these military payment certificates. The AENs are of particular interest because when they weren't useful in Korea, they withdrew them almost immediately. And then, because there was always a concern about how our introducing money of our own manufacture could interfere with local economies by creating inflation or encouraging black market activities and things of that nature, the idea was that we would pay our servicemen and those working with them, either as servicemen from other countries, civilians, whoever, servicewomen and so forth, would be paid in instead a special kind of money. Instead of just paying them either in the local money or in American dollars, they would be paid, well, to begin with, in this first test market of this sort of thing, they would be paid in these Japanese AENs that were put to this use. And the AENs were the only thing you could use on base to buy, well, probably just about anything. But they couldn't be used off base, because even though people off base might be inclined to be paid by the soldiers for this or that, the problem is they can't use that money for very long, because at any time it could be replaced. So July 19, these things were being test marketed in Japan, as it were, and it worked so well that September 30, they now were ready to start the military payment certificate program in earnest. So what they did is on September 30, closed down the base, and everybody had that day to exchange whatever yen they had for these new dollars and cents in the military payment certificate. And suddenly the AENs have been devalued and will not be exchangeable for anything. You can keep them if you like, but they're just not money anymore. Well, that worked pretty well. So starting September 30 now, this is our new money. And now it's officially made for this. Now you see, the sizes mostly follow the same pattern. The largest ones, just as before, kept the same width as your normal American currency. And the height was also the same. Okay. And that went for the $5 and the $10, and 10 was as high as it went. Later on there'd be more, but for right now it's 5 and 10. The $1 would still retain the same height, but be narrow, even as before the 10 yen had been narrow but the same height, also the 5 yen. But the smaller sizes, where before the smallest denominations would still be the same height but just narrower still. With the military payment certificate, the smaller size would retain the same width as the $1, but it would be shorter. So, as you can see also, there'd be a very specific common design used for the lower denominations, so that, for example, the 10 cent, it looks just like the 5 except for the denomination that's on here. And the same for the 25 cent. And you can see the front and the back very similar, other than the denomination. And then you get up to the dollar. It has a somewhat different design. And so that's how that would look, but it still just says the same thing. And the $5, yet another design. And it's even larger. And then the 10 In this particular case, it had the same design as the 5, except that it said $10 instead of 5. So that's how that would be. Well, again, to make sure that you can't spend these around the locals, they had to ready some more. So now the number, I'm just pointing this out. You see this is series 461. 46 is for 1946 because they designed and printed these in 1946, and 1 just means it's the first one in case they do more within a year. So next year, 1947, they designed and printed what really was the same design, but now just different ink. So now you have series 471 because in 1947, on March 10, they did the same trick. The base is closed, and everyone uses that day to exchange this for this. So just, this goes to this, that, and so forth. Everything gets its equivalent value. And now, well, look at that, the blue and red. What a vivid set of colors here. But as you can see, the designs are the same. And of course, even that commonality of the design among the smaller, the fractions of the dollar. That commonality, that they differ only by the denomination. The $1 is the same as the previous, other than the bright different colors. The 5 and the 10 also will carry equivalent. We'll start with the 10. Reason being that the 5 actually was the most difficult to save, because most people might want to save the biggest one if they really wanted to collect one of these, but could only afford to do one, let's say. Whereas the lesser sizes would seldom be collected, and so they end up being, actually, in many cases, the penultimate denomination is often the rarest. Not always, but often the rarest ones. Well, come March 22 of 1948, suddenly we are switching again to yet another design. Now these have the number here of series 472 because they actually designed and printed these still in 1947 and just held on to them until they would be useful, which actually happened March 22, 1948. So we have this new design now. The color designs go back somewhat more like the originals, but now you have this section off to the left, and each side has a section off to the left like this. So, but as you can see, it's the same information. Military payment certificate. Now at the bottom, they have a serial number, 5 cents there for use only in United States military establishments by United States authorized personnel in accordance with applicable rules and regulations. So that was how these were used. And they were so very, very effective in curtailing black market activities and limiting inflationary or other monetary aspects of the local money economies, so that we were very minimal in our impact. And so it worked really well. Now we get to the $1, and I see it too has a different design. And so this design is correspondingly similar, and stuff off to the side. And once again, the $5 is the most difficult to collect in any quantity. So, but they're around. So what would happen is that the $10, the $5 would be the rarest, but the $10 is also around. Now, there's one other really neat thing: is how do you know that these things are official? Well, they did one other really neat thing. They decided to introduce the use of ultraviolet ink. So let's take a look here. There you go. See how that lights up? You actually have kind of a design there. And the same design shows in each of the different styles or types. Well, they have different, but you see how stuff lights up. See, it has one look before and another when it lights up. And continues on the other denominations and so forth. As you see, the ANs didn't have anything like this. So this was introduced with the MPC. Again, you can see it has the ultraviolet ink. And I only show the front because the backside did not utilize ultraviolet ink. Only the front side. Look at that. You almost see the pattern in there. Now, $1. Yeah, $5, kind of harder to get the ink to light up through this plastic. You can kind of see it here. There, see the lines? Here it's very hard to see it. It's hard to see it. It's a little easier here without the plastic in the way. Now you let's see. You can see some there. And let's see here. Oh, here it shows up really well. See, look at that. It's kind of uneven, but that's the way they had it because it too has a design just like everything else. So that was a neat little thing about the military payment certificates. Well, that was them. Next series, we will continue what happens after Series 472. Oh, I didn't explain that. It was designed and printed in 1947, and it was the second one, since the red and blue one was the first, even though they didn't actually distribute these things and take up all of these until March 22 of 1948. So starting March 22 of 1948, you see, this was the money paid out to the soldiers. And so on it will be until the next transition. But that'll be for another installment. Thanks for watching.